Good evening, here are tonight's top stories. Police investigate armed robbery at GBTI compound in Kingston. The Guyana Fire Service addresses concerns following a devastating fire in Bush Lot. Alicia Scheller tops the National Grade 6 assessment. The Ministry of Education emphasizes textbook returns as NGSA results are announced. Vice President Jago raises conflict of interest concerns over new AFC leader Nigel Hughes. Police seek Marlon Vosi for multiple offenses. Further information on U.S. sanctions against the Mohammeds expected this week. A police sergeant is under close arrest following an investigation into alleged house break-ins. A 19-year-old is remanded for possession of an unlicensed firearm and unregistered motorcycle. Stay tuned for the details of these stories. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more news.
Alicia Scheller tops National Grade 6 assessment. Alicia Scheller, a student of Success Elementary School on the East Bank of Demerara, EBD, has emerged as the top performer in this year's National Grade 6 assessment, NGSA. Scheller earned an impressive 503.34 marks, securing her a place at Queen's College, one of the most prestigious secondary schools in Guyana. The results were officially announced by the Minister of Education, Priya Manikchand, during a ceremony held at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. This year's NGSA, which took place on May 2nd and 3rd, saw participation from over 15,000 pupils across the country. Minister Manikchand congratulated Scheller and all the successful students, highlighting the dedication and hard work of the pupils, teachers, and parents that contributed to this year's achievements. The NGSA results are a significant milestone for these young students as they transition to secondary education. Police seek Marlon Vosi for multiple offenses. For years after pleading guilty and being remanded for armed robbery, Marlon Vosi, 24, is now wanted for larceny, break and enter, and discharging a loaded firearm. Police headquarters issued a bulletin on Thursday for his arrest. Vosi's last known address is Lot 31, No. 5 Village, West Coast Burbus. Authorities urge anyone with information about Vosi's whereabouts to contact the police. In 2021, Vosi was charged with armed robbery and possession of an illegal firearm. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment. The charges stemmed from an incident on October 15, 2021, where Vosi, along with accomplices, robbed a 49-year-old man from Good Hope, Essequibo Coast, at gunpoint, stealing $1.5 million and 3 gold chains valued at $380,000. During their attempted escape into the Sapinum Creek, Vosi and his accomplices were apprehended by public-spirited citizens and handed over to the police. A .38 revolver and a bag containing $224,890 in cash were recovered during the arrest. The police are now seeking Vosi for new charges, including larceny, breaking and entering, and discharging a loaded firearm. Authorities are requesting the public's assistance in locating him. Further request for info on U.S. sanctions against the Mohammeds will be done this week. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal has announced that Guyana will be dispatching a formal letter this week to request information from the United States regarding recent sanctions imposed on individuals and entities in the country. These sanctions, administered by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, targeted Nazar Mohammed and his son Azruddin, along with businesses such as Mohammed's Enterprise, Hadi's World, and Team Mohammed's Racing. May Thomas, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor, was also implicated in the corruption allegations. The sanctions were instituted following allegations of fraud and corruption unearthed by U.S. authorities. In response, the Guyana government swiftly revoked the cambio license of the Mohammeds and has initiated investigations to determine further actions required. Dr. Ashni Singh, Minister of Finance, previously stated that Guyana had been advised by U.S. counterparts to formally request documentation from the U.S. Department of Justice. This documentation would assist in understanding the basis for the sanctions and the evidence supporting them. During his The Issues in the News Facebook program, Attorney General Nandlal confirmed that he plans to send the requested letter before the week concludes. This step underscores Guyana's commitment to investigating the allegations thoroughly and addressing any issues raised by international partners. The developments surrounding these sanctions and their implications continue to evolve, with ongoing scrutiny and responses from both Guyanese and U.S. authorities shaping the narrative. Police investigate armed robbery at GBTI compound in Kingston. Police are investigating an alleged armed robbery that occurred on the 65-year-old manager of Toucan Distributors Limited at approximately 2150 HRS last night, July 3, 2024, at the Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry, GBTI, compound on Yonge Street in Kingston, Georgetown. The victim was reportedly robbed of $10 million in cash, which belonged to the CEO of Toucan Distributors Limited. The suspects are described as two identifiable males fully dressed in police blue and black uniforms, both armed with pistols and wearing ski masks. Investigations revealed that the victim left work around 2115 HRS in a black Land Cruiser vehicle, PKK 3700, carrying 5 GBTI bags containing the cash. Upon arriving at the bank, he was met by Telbert Grant, a security guard from the GEB security firm, who opened the gate and allowed him access to the deposit site on the southern side of the bank. While proceeding to the deposit area, the victim noticed 2 motorcyclists approaching from behind his vehicle. Initially concerned, he relaxed upon seeing that the motorcyclists were dressed as police officers. As he walked toward the deposit vault with the money bags, one of the suspects approached him from behind, drew a firearm, and pointed it at his head. The suspect then seized the bags and fled with the other motorcyclist out of the bank's compound in an unknown direction. Detectives are currently reviewing closed-circuit television, CCTV, footage as investigations continue. 19-year-old remanded for unlicensed firearm and unregistered motorcycle. A 19-year-old laborer from Sofia, Omali Metis, found himself facing serious charges and remanded after being apprehended with an unregistered motorcycle and an unlicensed firearm. Metis appeared before Magistrate Faith McGusty at Georgetown Magistrates Court No. 5 on Wednesday to answer to the charge of possession of an unlicensed firearm. According to details presented by police prosecutor Quincy Lakin, Metis was spotted by police on Monday during a mobile patrol on Regent Street near the Guy Oil gas station. The officers observed Metis sitting on a black and red motorcycle, holding a brown bag. Acting on received information that Metis possessed a firearm, the police approached him. Upon noticing the police, Metis jumped off the motorcycle and attempted to flee east along Regent Street with the brown bag in hand. After a pursuit, Metis was intercepted at the intersection of Camp Street and Regent Street in Georgetown. A search of his person revealed the unlicensed firearm inside the brown bag he had been carrying. He was promptly cautioned and informed of the nature of the offense before being brought to court to face charges. During the court proceedings, Prosecutor Lakin objected to bail, citing the seriousness of the matter, particularly the possession of an unlicensed firearm. As a result, Metis was remanded and is scheduled to reappear in court on July 17, 2024. The case underscores the ongoing efforts of law enforcement to address illegal firearms and associated criminal activities, reflecting the gravity with which such offenses are treated within the judicial system. Police sergeant under close arrest following investigation into alleged house break-ins. In a concerning development, a police sergeant is currently under close arrest as authorities investigate allegations that he orchestrated a series of house break-ins across the west coast and west bank of Demerara in Guyana. The investigation gained momentum following the apprehension of 4 suspects involved in a recent break-in at a businessman's residence in Port-Arain, West Bank Demerara. Reports indicate that the suspects were initially identified through CCTV footage from the businessman's home, which captured 4 armed individuals on the premises during the night of Friday, June 23. The footage was reviewed by the businessman's wife, who promptly shared the information with neighbors to heighten vigilance in the area. On the subsequent Monday, June 24, residents spotted 4 individuals matching the description of those seen in the CCTV footage walking along another street in Port-Arain. Quick-thinking residents captured cell phone video of the suspects and alerted the police immediately. Law enforcement officers swiftly responded to the scene and upon arrival, the suspects attempted to flee but were apprehended by police. During interrogation, one of the suspects implicated the police sergeant, alleging that he was the mastermind behind their criminal activities. Subsequent checks on the sergeant's cell phone reportedly revealed frequent communication with the suspects. As a result, the implicated police sergeant has been placed under close arrest to facilitate further investigation into his alleged involvement in organizing the break-ins. The case underscores serious concerns about the integrity and trustworthiness of law enforcement personnel in the region, as authorities work to address and resolve these troubling allegations. Ministry of Education emphasizes textbook returns as NGSA results are announced. The Ministry of Education is set to announce the results of the 2024 National Grade 6 Assessment, NGSA, today. However, pupils who have not returned or replaced loaned textbooks will have their results withheld. This is in accordance with the ministry's textbook policy, which mandates that educational materials must be returned before accessing examination results, progress reports, recommendations, or references. The ministry highlighted the importance of this policy to ensure that textbooks are available for future students. Despite catering to minor damages, the cost of providing textbooks is substantial. In 2023, the government procured 619,060 textbooks for primary and secondary levels at a cost of $3.3 billion, and plans to purchase 502,072 textbooks in 2024 at a cost of $3 billion. For students who have misplaced textbooks, the ministry requires replacements to be original textbooks rather than monetary payments. This policy also applies to students who wrote the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC, and Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examinations, CAPE. A total of 15,488 pupils participated in this year's NGSA, held on May 2nd and 3rd, covering English language, mathematics, social studies, and science. The results announcement will be live-streamed on the Education Ministry's Facebook page. The ministry's firm stance on textbook returns underscores the importance of resource management in providing equitable educational opportunities for all students. Vice President Barrett Jagdeo raises conflict of interest concerns over new AFC leader Nigel Hughes. Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo has raised concerns about a potential conflict of interest involving Nigel Hughes, the newly elected leader of the Opposition Alliance for Change AFC. Jagdeo, during a press conference held in his capacity as General Secretary of the governing People's Progressive Party, questioned Hughes' ability to balance his political role with his professional obligations as a lawyer for the local ExxonMobil-led consortium producing oil offshore. "It's what's ethical first of all," Jagdeo remarked, emphasizing the ethical considerations of Hughes' dual roles. He pointed out the potential difficulties Hughes might face in maintaining political leadership while also representing ExxonMobil through the Hughes, Fields, and Stobie law firm. Hughes has reportedly indicated that he will distance himself from the oil company if he enters government, citing an inability to speak openly about his client until that time. Despite this, Jagdeo suggested that Hughes might already be considered a politically exposed person due to his previous roles while the APNU plus AFC coalition was in office, before resigning from the top leadership of the AFC in 2016. According to Guyana's Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Act, a politically exposed person includes any individual entrusted with prominent public functions on behalf of a state, senior politicians, senior executives of state-owned corporations, and important political party officials, among others. Jagdeo contended that Hughes falls under this definition and expressed concerns about the potential for such individuals to influence business transactions. Given these concerns, Jagdeo suggested that a formal investigation might be necessary to address the potential conflict of interest. "We are watching what Exxon and the others will do, the first-tier contractors. This may necessitate a formal investigation into all these matters," he stated. Nigel Hughes was declared the new leader of the Alliance for Change with 149 votes to his main rival Sherrod Duncan's 62. Guyana Fire Service addresses concerns following devastating bush lot fire. The Guyana Fire Service, as GFS, acknowledges the concerns and frustrations expressed by the business owners and residents of bush lot following the devastating fire on Monday, which tragically resulted in the loss of one life and significant property destruction. We extend our deepest condolences to the family of Karl Rajendra Prasad and our sympathies to all those affected by this tragic event. We recognize the criticisms regarding our equipment and response time during the incident, particularly the complaints about hoses with perforations and delays in accessing an open water source. These issues somewhat hindered our ability to effectively contain the blaze and protect the businesses and properties impacted. While there are 2 fire hydrants in the area, only one was accessible due to earth blockage of the underground valves. It is the duty of the Guyana Fire Service to inspect and ensure the operability of fire hydrants, and we accept full responsibility for the inaccessible hydrant. Additionally, it is important to note that there was a power outage in the area at the time of the fire, which resulted in insufficient water pressure, further affecting the water supply and overall operation. We refute claims that fire tenders arrived late at the scene. The report was received at 18:03 HRS, and the first tender, WT number 90 from Overwagged, arrived at 18:10 hours. The second tender, WT number 74 from New Amsterdam, arrived at 19:01 HRS, and the third tender, WT number 106 from Maheka, arrived at 19:21 hours. Additionally, we affirm that all 3 responding tenders had water in their tanks. Due to the magnitude of the fire, upon arrival, firefighters opted to access a nearby open water source to facilitate continuous firefighting. A relay system was set up between the tenders using light pumps, which accessed water from a nearby trench. 3 water tenders and an ambulance, along with 16 firefighters and 3 emergency medical technicians, were engaged in the firefighting operation and response. Despite the arduous nature of the task, our team successfully managed to contain and extinguish the blaze, limiting the destruction to 3 buildings and preventing a potentially catastrophic spread. 1 civilian and 1 fire personnel were transported to the Fort Wellington Regional Hospital by our emergency medical technicians for treatment of fainting and lower back pain, respectively. The GFS reviews each incident by way of an after-action report to continuously improve our service. We are currently conducting a thorough review of our engagement, equipment, and operational protocols to ensure such issues do not reoccur. This includes continuous repair of damaged hoses, procurement of new hoses and other critical firefighting equipment, as well as enhanced training for our personnel. We understand and regret the significant impact this fire has had on the bush lot community. We renew our call for citizens to equip their homes and businesses with smoke detectors, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, fireballs, and to consider fire insurance. The Guyana Fire Service is dedicated to safeguarding lives and property, and we are embracing these lessons to enhance our service in the future.